Picture holding a piece of history between your fingers as a subtle misprint glints under the light, promising a story worth far more than 50 cents. Today's spotlight shines on three Kennedy half dollars minted in 1977, 1972, and 1989 that quietly turned everyday pocket change into fierce bidding wars. If you felt a spark of excitement spotting unusual doubling on a coin or admired a rare mint mark that defies expectation, you know how a simple piece of silver can captivate collectors for decades. Each date hides its own blend of minting quirks and hidden tales, and understanding those secrets could turn your cabinet into a treasure trove. From the subtly shifted die that creates a ghostly profile to the proof-like finishes mint only for special sets, each variant tells a chapter in the Kennedy legacy. Stay close as this episode unravels the first of these enigmatic half dollars. In 1977, the United States Mint was still carrying forward John F. Kennedy's enduring legacy through the half dollar first struck in 1964. In the wake of Kennedy's assassination, collectors embraced the new design, and by the mid-70s, interest had cooled enough for the mint to reduce production for general circulation. The 1977 issues were primarily allocated to special mint sets, a series that replaced traditional proof and uncirculated sets from 1965 through 1967, then revived for a limited run beginning in 1976. The 77 half dollar carried its heritage forward on a copper-nickel-clad planchet, signaling a quiet transition away from earlier silver issues. Its story begins in the corridors of the San Francisco and Philadelphia mints, where thousands of planchets awaited the die's kiss. One of the first clues to a valuable 1977 half dollar lies in its finish. Standard business strikes display a matte sheen, while special mint set examples reveal a sharper, frosted relief against a mirror-like field. Collectors prize the cameo contrast, often abbreviated as SMS Cameo, which stands shoulder to shoulder with modern proof versions in terms of eye appeal. Beyond the finish, errors like die doubling on the obverse and repunched mint marks can elevate value further. A double die variety, where the relief appears to ghost twice, can add hundreds of dollars to a coin that otherwise trades for face value. Similarly, a displaced or misaligned mint mark, usually punched more than once in slightly different positions, speaks to the human touch of minting and draws intense scrutiny from advanced graders. For most collectors, finding a 1977 business strike in solid circulated condition is a matter of filling a hole in a folder rather than making a hefty investment. Circulated pieces often exchange hands for between 50 cents and $2. By contrast, an uncirculated example graded MS63 might fetch anywhere from $10 to $20. When you enter the realm of special mint sets, prices climb accordingly. An SMS Cameo in MS66, MS67 condition routinely trades for $150 to $300. Rare error pieces can shatter those benchmarks. An instance of a pronounced double die obverse recently sold for more than $700 at a major auction. It may surprise even seasoned collectors to learn that one of the largest caches of 1977 SMS half dollars emerged not from a mint facility, but from a bank vault that had sat untouched for decades. In the early 2010s, a regional bank in the Midwest discovered a sealed box containing several hundred Cameo specimens, all still wrapped in their original packaging. When these coins flooded the market, Cameo premiums briefly dipped before collectors recognized that many bore minute die cracks invisible to the naked eye. Those cracks, far from diminishing value, confirmed authenticity and mintage estimates, sparking renewed interest and rekindling bidding wars among whispered circles of advanced hobbyists. Evaluating a 1977 half dollars worth means assessing wear, finish, and any anomalies all at once. In circulated grades, $50 or lower, surface marks and softness in Kennedy's hair trim value to face or slightly above. As coins ascend toward uncirculated grades, look for full, sharp luster on Kennedy's cheekbones and intact denticles encircling the rim. A coin graded MS65 can demand a premium of up to $50, especially if colorful toning enhances its visual appeal. For the SMS varieties, the threshold between an MS67 Cameo and a PR68 can be razor thin, a stray fingerprint, or minute hairline scratch can drop value by more than $1,000. Among the most coveted 1977 variants stands the repunched Mint Mark, RPM, from San Francisco, where an initial S was overwritten slightly to the west, creating a shadowed echo of the letter. This RPM 001 classification, though subtle, offers a definitive treasure hunt for collectors armed with magnification tools and careful lighting. Another rarer attribute appears on the obverse, a small hub doubling across Kennedy's lip and chin, classified unofficially as DDO 1.5. While the doubling rarely exceeds 2 millimeters, it offers sufficient relief to produce a minor ridge under direct examination. Certified examples in high mint state not only confirm authenticity, but also solidify their status in elite registry sets. Digging into the depths of the 1977 half-dollar reveals a world where subtle finishes and minting quirks transform a humble 50-cent piece into an object of desire. As you examine your collection for that elusive SMS cameo or rare error strike, remember that condition, provenance, and eye appeal operate in concert to influence every auction hammer fall. Next, we'll turn our focus to a coin born in a very different moment. 1972's anniversary half-dollar, where rising silver costs and evolving mint policies created a rarity all its own. Transitioning from the late 70s into a period of rising silver costs and shifting mint strategies, the 1972 half-dollar stands as a pivotal moment in Kennedy series history. Released on Kennedy's birth anniversary, this coin emerged amid debates about silver content and its effect on both collectors and circulation. While the early half-dollars from 1964 to 1970 carried 40% silver, by 1971 the mint switched entirely to copper-nickel clad, making 1972 the second non-silver clad issue. That decision reflected concerns about metal prices as the Vietnam War-era economy strained mint resources and public sentiment shifted toward cost-effective coinage. At first glance, the 1972 half-dollar resembles its predecessors, Kennedy's dignified profile, the presidential coat of arms, and the timeless motto encircling the composition. However, subtle distinctions reveal the story beneath the surface. True business strikes shine with a subdued luster, while the special mint sets, issued intermittently, display a more pronounced, frosted relief. Collectors often seek the SMS cameo varieties, where Kennedy's portrait seems to float over a high-polished background. Unlike typical proof issues, these SMS pieces were struck on specially selected planchets, offering a balance between business strike and proof finishes. Unofficial designations like SMS cameo have become shorthand in collector circles to describe this distinctive presentation. What makes the 1972 double die obverse so alluring is its dramatic presentation. The date and inscriptions appear to whisper twice, a ghost image that catches the light in remarkable ways. Unlike minor hub doubling, these distinct varieties boast separation measures that can exceed a millimeter, making them easier to spot with modest magnification. While the Philadelphia Mint produced the majority, a handful of S mint marks reveal rarer San Francisco examples. These S-mint double dies command attention on any slab label, often reaching 5 to 10 times their face value at local shows. Auction records underscore the market's appetite for these anomalies. A slender handful of 1972 double die half-dollars in pristine mint state sold for well over $1,500 in recent major sales, with one standout specimen reaching $2,200 at a Dallas auction last year. By contrast, a standard circulation strike in well-worn grade brings a modest 25 cents or face value premium. Even uncirculated business strikes in MS60, MS62 range seldom exceed $5. This gulf between common and rare illustrates how dramatic minting quirks can reshape value. Beyond the double die, other curious quirks amplify interest in the 1972 series. Die cracks, polished over die clashing, and subtle repunched mint marks all contribute to a dynamic hobbyist experience. One infamous find involved a collector at a coin show who spotted a diagonal die crack running from Kennedy's jawline to the rim. Some enthusiasts claimed it resembled a scar on the president's visage. Although such cracks may lower grade for purists, The narrative they bring can make a coin irresistible to story-driven collectors. Condition-based value swings for the 1972 half-dollar showcase the importance of both eye appeal and technical precision. In circulated grades, up to 55 Australian dollars, collectors focus on strike quality and color. Even a slight hint of original mint luster can push a coin's value from face to $2 or $3. Once coins enter the uncirculated range, every scratch or mark carries weight. An MS-63 business strike might sell for $10 to $15, while MS-65 examples demand $50 or more. The SMS cameo in MS-67 and above can approach four figures when both fields and devices exhibit razor-sharp contrast. Several personal anecdotes revolve around the SMS cameo variety. One Philadelphia collector recounted paying a mere $10 at a local shop for a worn-looking half-dollar, only to later learn it had been lightly cleaned and actually graded PR-68 cameo as part of a special mint set. Another hobbyist discovered a box of unsearched mint rolls that yielded a handful of doubled dies and cameo specimens after a weekend spent meticulously inspecting each piece. These stories underscore the thrill of detective work and why careful inspection can yield spectacular rewards. Interestingly, the 1972 half-dollar's commercial use extended beyond everyday commerce. Jewelry designers of the 1970s sometimes embedded circulated half-dollars in custom bracelets or pendants, hoping to combine patriotic symbolism with wearable art. A handful of these altered pieces survive collector scrutiny, and today they serve as cautionary examples of how modifications can permanently diminish value, no matter how creative or sentimental. These altered coins often sell for a fraction of their unmodified counterparts. The era also saw international curiosity. As American tourists traveled abroad, they sometimes used 1972 half-dollars as tokens or change, inadvertently spreading them across continents. Collectors in Europe and Asia later found these pieces and brought them back to the market, sometimes without mint state preservation. A handful of lightly circulated 1972 have surfaced in Japanese collections in the late 90s, offering fresh sources for Western collectors decades after their initial release. When evaluating a 1972 half-dollar, scrutiny of edge reading, die alignment, and surface integrity takes precedence. Use bright, directional lighting to highlight cameo contrast and doubling. Consult reference guides for known doubled die sequences, and compare against high-resolution images from grading companies. Always factor in any signs of cleaning. Hairline polish marks can erase cameo fields, and ultraviolet fluorescence may reveal restoration attempts. In cases of doubt, submitting to a professional grading service ensures accurate evaluation and authenticates rare varieties. Up next, our final exploration turns to the 1989 half-dollar, an issue that reintroduced genuine silver composition for a new generation of collectors and revealed its own unique surprises. Shifting into the final chapter of our Kennedy half-dollar journey brings us to the 1989 issue, a coin born into an era when change in your pocket carried more sentimental story than intrinsic silver value. By this year, the mint had settled on a copper-nickel-clad composition, 91.67% copper sandwiched beneath a thin layer of 8.33% nickel, offering durability and that familiar heft without the metal premiums of earlier decades. Kennedy's portrait remained unchanged, gazing across liberty, while the presidential coat of arms and motto retained their dignified symmetry. Yet beneath this surface continuity lay subtle shifts in production volume, mint procedure, and collector focus that make the 1989 half-dollar a surprisingly fertile ground for discovery. Production that year tilted almost evenly between Philadelphia and Denver. Roughly 24.5 million coins from Philadelphia and just over 23 million from Denver rolled into circulation, meaning that any rarity in raw population must come from the quirks of the die or the quirks of fate rather than sheer scarcity. Proof versions, struck at San Francisco and marked with S, appeared in annual proof sets, their mirrored fields and frosted relief catering to hobbyists rather than pocket commerce. Although clad, these proofs could rival earlier silver issues in visual appeal, until you learned where to look for anomalies. The most immediate distinction between a business strike and a proof half-dollar lies in finish. Business strikes show a softly satiny field and moderate relief, while proofs present razor-sharp devices floating atop deep mirror-like backgrounds. Even so, proof sets sometimes harbor coins that escaped perfect alignment or carried tiny die chips. Collectors often describe a sub-cameo effect on these 1989 proofs, where contrast exists but falls short of the deep cameo standard prized on modern silver issues. Spotting that gap requires holding the coin at just the right angle, letting light graze the devices to reveal any frost-to-mirror transition. Errors are where the 1989 series truly rewards careful study. One of the most sought-after oddities is Doubling On In God We Trust, officially cataloged as a double-die obverse. Here, the inscription appears to cast the briefest of shadows against itself, letters huddling almost imperceptibly beside their originals. Under modest magnification, that ghost image becomes unmistakable. While many examples trade for around $40, a sharply struck specimen certified at a high mint state can command 2 to 3 times that amount, especially when no other post-mint damage clouds the view. Equally captivating are the repunched mint marks. On Philadelphia coins, the P sometimes registers twice in slightly offset positions, creating a faint echo that enthusiasts hunt with loupe in hand. Most raw RPM examples trade for only a couple of dollars, but when an MS-66 or higher specimen lands a clean grade with a clear echo, it can push past $20 or even $30. These RPM discoveries underscore the human element in minting, a reminder that behind each press sits a technician prone to the same misalignment that fascinates advanced collectors today. Beyond doubling and RPMs, a handful of other quirks add texture to a 1989 half-dollar collection. Some pieces display a missing star on the eagle's shield, a result of a minor die gouge during preparation. Others suffer slight off-center strikes that nudge Kennedy's bust toward the rim, offering visual drama and modest premiums. Struck through errors, where bits of grease or debris lodge between die and planchet, create linear impressions or pockmarks across fields. When such marks appear neat and limited, they may trade for $40 or more, depending on aesthetic impact. When they mar major design elements, they can detract from value instead. Market values for typical 1989 halves remain pleasantly accessible, making them ideal canvases for error exploration. Circulated pieces usually trade at about 70 cents on the dollar, just enough above face value to catch a collector's eye without breaking the bank. Uncirculated business strikes graded MS-60, MS-62 show modest premiums, generally in the $5 to $16 range. As you climb into mid-grade mint state, say MS-66, a coin can reach the high 20s. Rare survivors at MS-67 or above might touch $250, signaling that conditions still reign supreme even in high mintage years. Proof aficionados follow a similar trajectory. A PR-69 1989 S half-dollar often exchanges hands around $32. That coveted PR-70 Deep Cameo, however, awarded to only a handful of perfect specimens, rallied a price north of $500 at auction years ago, proving that pristine quality and cameo depth can resurrect interest even in clad issues. Meanwhile, the finest business strike at MS-68 achieved more than $3,000 in an online sale, a testament to how top-tier survivors of common issues continue to surprise the market. Collector anecdotes breathe life into these statistics. One hobbyist discovered a double-die 1989 D while rolling coins at a laundromat, first noticing that the letters in trust looked unnaturally thick. A quick photo to an online forum confirmed the find, and the coin sold within days, proof that even in everyday commerce, gems lie waiting. Another story involves a misplaced love of jewelry. A misaligned 1989 half-dollar, deemed too imperfect for albums, became the centerpiece of a handmade necklace. That personal narrative underscored how errors travel beyond albums and auction houses into daily life, turning a mistake into an artwork. As you hold a 1989 Kennedy half-dollar between thumb and forefinger, remember that every nuance, from a whisper of doubling to the slightest restrike of a mint mark, can shift its story and its market value. Whether you're drawn to high-grade survivors, proof-set cameo subtleties, or the thrill of error hunting, this coin offers a fitting finale to our three-coin saga. Keep your eyes sharp and your loop at the ready.